home? Do you have a fireplace?
No, the kitchen.
Oh, how about, well, yeah, would you think this would be where they would cook?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, because there's no stove in here, is there?
No.
So the fire was a very important thing. It kept you warm, and it helped you cook all your food. And we're going to talk about what the servants did. And yeah, we have a shoelace emergency. Where the servants did most of their work, because the Stephensons, who lived in the big house, had indentured servants. And indentured servants were people who did most of the hard work of running a farm, because when the Stephensons lived here, this was a 180-acre working farm. So there was lots of things to do. Now, think back. This was almost 200 years ago. Do you think if you wanted something for dinner, you could go to Dierberg's and buy some food?
No.
No, there was no Dierberg's. There was no store here to go to that you could buy food at. There was a store eventually of sorts, but it did not have food the way Dierberg's does. So everything that they ate, they had to grow here. And Mrs. Stephenson was the lady of the house, so most of the work of the place was done by indentured servants. And they're called indentured servants because the Stephenson had to take these people to the courthouse and register them, so that it was a contract between the Stephensons and these people, that the people would work for the Stephensons for a certain number of years, and then the people had no other choices. They had to work for the Stephensons during that period. And the reason in Illinois that was the case is because slavery at that time was illegal in Illinois, but to get around that, they were called indentured servants, and they had to be registered at the courthouse. But basically these people were in the same position that slaves were. So the Stephensons did have slaves, and they had children. Some of the slaves were children, and the children had jobs to do around the place too. One of the important jobs that kids did, I'll bet none of you will ever have to do, is some of these children made bricks. A lot of the bricks that were used to build a house were made on this piece of property by the children, who probably weren't too much older than you guys. Can you imagine doing something like that? That would be hard work. What other kinds of jobs do you think kids would do if they lived on a farm? What do you think you'd have to do?
Pick the corn.
Yes. What other kinds of jobs would you have to do?
Hunt.
Could be. Younger kids, your age boys particularly, had to go with their dads and learn how to hunt. Why would they have to hunt?
To get meat.
Right, because there was no
Stores.
Correct. So guess what animal they raised here and ate the most of? They didn't raise deer or wild. What kind of tame or domestic animal do you think they ate the most of?
Cow.
No, oddly enough. That's what I would have guessed.
Pig.
Pigs.
Yes.
That's right. And how do we know they ate a lot of pigs? Did we ask them? No. How do we know they ate a lot of pigs?
Because they raised a lot of pigs.
That's true, but how do we know that? There's something that got left behind that helped us know all this stuff. What do you think?
Bones.
Correct. Very good. And where did we find the bones? Did we have a big sign out in the yard that says the pig bones are here and we looked there?
No.
No. What happened? How do you think we
You
found
had to
out?
find them.
That's right.
What'd you do?
Dig.
That's right. At one time, right after the city bought the house and we started restoring the house, we wanted to learn a lot about the Stephenson family, and we didn't have a lot of stuff that was written about them, so we had to kind of find out for ourselves. That's called primary evidence. How's that for a $5 word? $5 word of the day. So we had the people from the archaeology department at SIU. How many people have ever heard of SIU? Okay, we're lucky because we're right near a university. The archaeology department came over and they dug where the Stephensons had their garbage heap. Do you know, I think this is interesting, the place where you find out the most about old houses is in their garbage dump and in their outhouse. So, well, who knows what the outhouse is?
Bathroom.
Bathroom, right.
Oh.
So, we found Stephenson's outhouse, and we also located where he had his garbage dump from the house. And you know there's a fancy word for garbage too. It's called a midden. There's another $5 word for today, the midden. And that means the place where instead of going out and putting the garbage out for like, do you drag the garbage can out for your mom at home?
Sometimes.
Okay. Well, they didn't have the garbage man come. So in order to get rid of the garbage, you opened the window and whoop, out the window it went.
Oh.
Pretty stinky, right? Anyway, out the window it went. So when we found the outhouse, they excavated the outhouse and found all kinds of goodies, and also dug where the kitchen midden had been, and the predominance of animal bones were.
What kind of animal?
Yeah, and what kind of animal did we say it was?
Pig.
Pigs, right. The predominance of bones were pig bones, so we know that the Stephensons ate a lot of, what do you call pig meat?
Ham.
That's one kind when it's smoked.
Bacon.
That's another kind when it's smoked, yeah. What do you call it generally, you know? Pork, good. So they ate a lot of pork. And why wouldn't they eat it? They had chickens, but why do you think they didn't eat a lot of chickens?
Because they produced eggs.
Exactly. You eat up your chickens and you have no eggs. So that was very, very good thinking. Good. Okay, now,
I have chickens.
good for
Me
you. I
too.
wish I had
I'd
chickens.
go to
I love
them.
fresh eggs.
No.
They are better. Now, the Stephensons lived in the big house over there. And when they lived there, there was only 4 rooms. And you'll see the inside of the house when you go in a minute. This back part here, you see, was built in 1845. That's newer because the front part of the house was built in 1820. So, when that part was built, they tore off Stephenson's kitchen. So when we restored the house, we wanted to have a kitchen that looked just like Stephenson's kitchen, and that's what this building looks like, because we found the footprint. You know, you think of footprint, houses have footprints too, and that's what the foundation is. We found the foundation underneath that part of the building, and that showed us how big the Stephenson's house kitchen was. So this is kind of an exact replica of what the Stephenson's kitchen would have looked like when it was attached to the back of the house. Question?
Is this all the stuff that they had, or did you guys just like make it look dirty and stuff to make it look dirty?
That's a good, very, very good question. Everything that we have here is either a piece of equipment from the 1820s or a replica of a piece of equipment from the 1820s. We do not have, with the exception of one glass bowl inside the big house and some broken china, anything that actually belonged to the Stephensons. But we looked at a lot of things from houses of 1820, and these were the sorts of things that people would have owned. So these are the sorts of things that they would have owned. If you have any question about a particular piece, please raise your hand and ask. We'll try and identify it for you. Yeah?
What's that?
You're pointing in kind of a general area. Do you mean these little things?
Yeah.
Those are dried apples. When you come back in another grade, we'll talk about food preservation. Do you have a question? That is a butter mold. People had to make their own butter, and they like to make it, some of them have little pretty carved, like pineapples and whatnot on them. So that you put the butter in there, and then you push down on that little plunger, and the piece of butter goes ploop out on the plate, and it looks pretty. Yeah?
They churned the butter too.
Yes, they did. And there's a butter churn out here as well. Yeah, that's
What's
another
that?
day. Huh?
What's that?
That. Am I getting warm? This? This?
The
This?
thing next to it.
This?
Uh-huh.
That's our secret electrical connection that we don't open to the public. I'll show you though. See, we have to have things like fire extinguishers and whatnot for safety. So we made it look like a cabinet that would have been in here when the Stephensons lived here. So that's the camouflage. Yeah, we pretend it's our pantry. Okay, now, you'll know, you have a better idea when you get in and see what the inside of the big house looks like. But we're going to go up into the children's and the servants' quarters, not the Stephenson children, but the servant children and the adult servants' quarters upstairs. We think, maybe, we're not sure yet, but research has sort of indicated that maybe there were some other buildings on the property that might have been cabins that the slave families lived in. But ostensibly, the servants live upstairs. There's another $5 word for you, ostensibly. There's, we believe that the servants lived upstairs over the kitchen. So, if you will, let's see, who'd like to get started? Now,
And a big bed.
okay, I'll know you're ready when I hear everybody quietly waiting. Gentlemen, you ready? Okay, we're going to talk about these beds. I'll bet at home on your bed you have a box spring and a mattress, don't you? Okay. Actually, I have a couple of beds at my house that are so old they still have ropes on them. If you look down at the end of the bed, you can look. You can pick up the cover and take a look. There are ropes. Before people had box springs, they had ropes. That was what held up the mattress on their bed. Take a peek if you want. I watch people do. Okay, when you finish looking, have a seat so we can finish.
My mom's bed is actually comfier than mine.
Really?
And then you break it.
Ready? Now, now, on top of the ropes, sleeping on ropes would not be particularly comfortable, I have to say. And on top, they would have a tick or a mattress. A tick is just another name for a mattress. Some of them were filled with straw, and those feel kind of crunchy, like they have straw in them. And sometimes they'd have another thing called a feather bed that they would put on top in the wintertime, and it was full of chicken feathers, and it was nice and warm. So that's how they would keep warm. There isn't any radiator or anything up here. How do you think the people kept warm in the winter? You have a question. What's your question?
I forgot my question.
Oh, first sign of old age. Yes. What?
Why are those up there?
The rafters?
Yeah.
Because there's no ceiling. If you took off the ceiling in your house, that's what you'd see in your house too. It's just the way houses are constructed. Because this room was for the servants. It's not finished nicely like the inside of the big house. The walls and the ceilings and everything were plastered. This is just for the servants, so they didn't have things finished off as nicely as you'll notice things are in the big house. Yeah.
They have
Honey, somebody else is asking the question. Can we listen to her question, please?
What is that thing over by the third bed?
This round thing?
Yeah.
This is a spinning wheel.
Oh, that's
We couldn't go to the store. We couldn't go to the store and buy thread or fabric. Don't have a seat so the other kids can see. And there are different sizes of spinning wheels. There were great big wheels that were this big. They were called walking wheels. And then there were smaller wheels that they wove flax, which is a fibrous plant. And then there were wool wheels and there were cotton wheels. Question.
What's that?
That is a lantern. Now, I want everybody to sit quietly for a minute and look around the room and pick an object. And there are two reasons why I want you to do that. First of all, we'll talk about the object when you pick out one. And I want you to keep that object in mind because when you go in the big house, I want you to see if the Stephensons used the same things that the servants did. Now keep in mind the Stephensons owned the place and probably the servants did most of the work, like the cooking and the farming. And they didn't have running water, so probably one of the servants had to get water from the well every day. Question.
Why did they bring up straw?
These things are drying. A lot of times, I really do not know what this plant is. It looks kind of like
flax.
Oh,
It is flax.
That's why it looks like
Yeah.
flax. Anyway, flax is is the fibrous plant that would be made into linen when it was woven. A lot of times you see bunches of things hanging up like that, and it's herb. It would be herbs, and there's some tobacco over there too. And people dried herbs because then they could use them in cooking in the wintertime. Gentlemen sitting on the bed, yes.
I have those at my house.
You have these or the lanterns?
Those.
The lanterns?
The plants.
Plants, oh neat, yeah. Question.
What's this?
That is an apple butter stirrer. It's like a big paddle and it has holes in it. And if you've ever made apple butter, you have to stir it and stir it and stir it. And then when you get really tired, you have to stir it some more. So it's a long job. Yes?
What is that?
That is a yarner. As I said, people had to make wool from their sheep, they had to make it into thread, and then they make the thread into yarn, and then they put it on there, and then somebody could make it into a skein, and then they could knit. Nothing was easy. Everything took a whole bunch of steps. Questions over here? I hear murmurations of questions. Yeah. What's on the table? There's some plates, and a cup, and a bottle. This is a bottle. I want to show you one thing. This is a teacup. Now, how is this the same as a teacup that I would have at my house, or how is it different from the cup that I'd have at my house? Let's see. Yes, lady in the plaid.
Me?
Yeah.
It's different because it doesn't have the handle that you use.
That's right. That's right. Handles before,
Always have a
gentlemen, before 1820, cups did not have handles on. Right about this time, teacups started getting handles. Before cups had handles on them, you'd have a cup like this and a big, I'm going to pretend this is a great big saucer. You'd have your tea on a saucer, and when you want, just a minute, I'll call on this second. When it was time to drink your tea, this was considered very good manners. Today we think it was gross. You'd take your teacup and you'd pour the tea in the saucer, blow on it if it was too hot, and then you drink your tea out of the saucer. So it's a whole difference. It's a difference in manners. See what adding a cup.
teacup. You know how I use it.
Huh?
Why did they have a teacup?
That's what held the tea until you were ready to drink it. But adding the handle changed not only it changed the manners of how you drank tea, right? Because you wouldn't do that now. You'd pick up your cup by the handle. Now I want everybody to yes, question.
Hey, I have those.
Do you?
Yeah, on the handles of my cupboards, but they're much smaller.
Much smaller. Okay, well have a seat, and I'm going to go around and see which object everybody has picked. The problem is the last guy to get picked on, could you have a seat please, honey? Is going to be hard pressed to find an object, but I guess if we overlap, it's not going to be the end of the world. But what we do is we're going to identify the object. If you can identify it when I pick on you, that's great. But you're going to have to keep it in mind because you're going to have to check and see if it's in the other house, okay? Let's start over, I'll kind of skip around so that people who are sitting over here don't get to be last necessarily. Okay, who has an object in mind? And tell me if you can, what one do you want?
That thing that's hanging up.
Okay, what thing that's hanging up?
The thing that's by the wall. The other one. That one.
This is a weight. This is a scale. You have to hang it up. And I'll drop it on my foot and it'll hurt. Okay, this is how things, see, I remember how you do it. You hang it by here, and then you hang something you want to weigh on the other hook. Okay, so you're going to remember when you go in the big house, if you see anything that looks like it's something you'd measure something with. Gentlemen in the navy blue, what do you want to pick? What object do you want to pick? You got it. You name it. So, okay, you got to keep that in mind for the other house. Yes? What do you see? This?
Yeah.
Okay. These are dried herbs. I think it's yarrow. So, you see if you see that in the big house. Yeah. Sure. Okay. That is a yoke. It goes around an animal's neck. You know how you have a collar on your dog when you take the dog for a walk? Or muzzle, I guess, yeah. Who else has a piece of equipment they want? Yeah. Up here? This one? What do you think it is? Take a guess. Yeah, see, you knew. Good. When you get in the big house, see if you see one. Yes, sir.
I think it's like the small pot right there.
This one?
No, like up there.
there.
Aha! This is indeed a pot. More than that, I can't tell you. It's a pot. So see if you see one in the house, okay? Some of these are not as obscure as you would think. A pot's still a pot. Okay. Yes, sir.
Those bullets.
Bullets. Those are not
Under
bullets.
that. Under that.
Under that, you mean the rake?
No.
Go over there and show me. That's okay.
Oops.
Come on back. I saw your back when you bent over. Those are the tines of a big rake. But they're bullet shaped, so you're close. See if you see a rake is big now. Okay, yeah.
Why is that rope hanging there?
Because it probably has something hanging from it. This one you mean?
Yeah.
I think we did them. We demonstrated rope making one time. So that's why it's there, just to show you guys what we can do. And when you come back and take another trip, we'll show you all kinds of other new stuff. Anybody else? Yes. One last person. I think is going to be it. Yes.
What are the like stool things up there?
Stool things. Oh, those are sawhorses. I think they're the things for a quilting frame that we stuck up there because when women used to make quilts, they put up those sawbucks and then two big long poles and then a roll of quilt on it and stitch along, and then they'd roll it up and stitch some more, and then they'd roll it up and stitch some more. So I think we're probably out of time. So what I would like to have